Before we begin today's episode, we acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and future. Hello, and welcome to Earthbound Era with your host, CJ. And today I really wanted to explore a solo episode with you, but somebody recently asked me, I hate when people say that, but I'm going to say it because it happened. But somebody recently asked me, how do you journal? And they were like, it might be a stupid question. I'm like, it's not, because it is new to a lot of people. And I did want to share my experiences with journaling and how it's helped me. So with journaling, I probably started journaling about 5 years ago. It really started off as a place that I needed to put my thoughts because I have a lot of thoughts, as we all do. And at the time, I, wasn't really like talking to many people. I didn't really have that many friends that I really opened up with because I did have a bit of a wall. So I picked up a notebook, I picked up a pen, and I started journaling. And now the absolute difference it has made in my life is fucking crucial. So I think the first time ever that I tried journaling, I was much younger. I would journal when I would have fights with my family because I was so angry, and it was like an outlet that I could try and attain to. So I remember like scribbling in my diary, being so angry and just writing all of these things like, I'm so mad with this person and how the F could they do this to me, and all of these things. And it helped a lot. Some of the journal prompts that I really enjoy are things to do with my day, like something that made me really happy that day, or something that I would change and do differently next time, or who brought me the most joy. It can be anything like that. It can also be about a time when you are feeling shit and anything that you don't feel comfortable talking to people about. So, for example, if you have an argument with somebody on that day or something you get really frustrated about, and you can turn to your journal and be like, okay, this happened. Why am I reacting like this? Where does it stem from? And why do I feel like I need to go back to those behaviors when I'm in my current life, being the grown person that you are? And speaking of growth is a really interesting thing to look at when you've been journaling for a few years. So when I look back at my journal from 5 years ago and look at the way that I used to write, it was a lot more like angry and rigid, to now being like feeling into my emotions and feeling the sadness and all of those things, if you will. Something that I actually really want to share with you guys, it's a bit scary, but it's very personal. Journaling is extremely personal. But something that I did recently was get some clarity. So, of course, all of us have said things that we regret, and things that we've done to others that have hurt them, and we linger on those things that we've done, and it's really hard to kind of lay it to rest and forgive yourself. And recently I had these feelings pop up from previous experiences, and it was really weird because it's been a very long time since those experiences have happened, and I just such this feeling, like the same feelings like guilt and like anger with myself. And so I turned to my journal. And it was the best thing I did because I was able to feel. And what I did was I wrote an apology letter to the person I really hurt. I wrote, hey, person, I'm really sorry for what I did. I acknowledge everything I've done and said that would have hurt you. And it just went on and on and on. And I think because I will never get the clarity from those past people, I think journaling is a great way to work towards forgiving yourself and getting the clarity that you need from a certain situation. And it's deep. And there's going to be times where you can actually really feel your emotions coming out and you might cry onto your paper and need a cup of tea afterwards and just breathe and take a moment. Another thing that I also want to share with you about journaling is you can include your oracles or your tarot, if you will. Actually, one of the oracles I have just here, which is my Fairy Forest oracles. They're amazing because oracles are not as hectic as tarot, I find. And because I'm so sensitive, tarot might freak me out sometimes. I kind of like to ask the oracles a question, usually around, what do I need to work on right now? I hold the cards, I pull the card, I look at the card. That helps. And usually what I'll do is I'll write down what the card said and I'll write down my question and then see how I can integrate both of them and okay, so let's say this card came up and this is representing this part of my question. And then I try and work them together to come out with an outcome on something I need to work on. I hope that makes sense. But you should really try it. Try integrating oracles and journaling and see what comes up because they've helped me. Even if it is a placebo thing and, you might not really be into it like I am, it's a really good way to ask yourself questions that you normally would not ask yourself. The next thing that is really awesome, actually, I learned this from another podcast. I can't remember what it is right now. I'll link it if I can find it. But it's talking about how to look at yourself in the next 5 years. You could even do 2 years as well. So it's how do you see yourself then? So I see myself in 5 years. I wake up at 6 a.m. every day. At 7, I've finished my yoga, had a cup of tea. And the next hour, get ready for work. I go to work. I speak to these people. I have these meetings. Anything that you really see yourself and want for yourself, just ignore the money side of things. Ignore that if you're oh, I can't do it. Just forget that. Just think about what you see yourself doing in the future and write it literally each time of each day. So even when you get home, you go to the shops, you pick out your dinner, you have a healthy dinner. You cook for this long, you pour yourself a cup of, wine while you're cooking. You watch a bit of TV with your partner. You spend some quality time with them, every little thing that you see yourself doing. And it's crazy because it's real shit manifestation, real shit. It's so amazing. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And also, you can do a morning routine one. So I think I did this in lockdown where I wrote down, okay, lockdown, we got fuck all to do. Nothing's happening. I need to entertain its damn brain because she is dying for some entertainment. But I would wake up, I'd do my teeth, I'd do a coconut pull, I'd go for half an hour run. I was running then, I know. Can you fucking believe it? I cannot run now. And then I would come home, I would do my yoga. I literally was doing almost an hour of yoga every day then, which was the best and so good for your body. And then I would cook myself a really healthy breakfast. And then I would journal. I would sit out the back in the sun journaling with music. And then I would spend half an hour dancing. And yeah, that morning routine really helped. I think morning routines are something that all of us should try and have. And I know it is definitely hard, especially for somebody like me, because I have to be at work at 7:30 in the morning already. So it's a bit difficult. But if you are committed to waking up before sunrise, that is when you're going to be the happiest that you'll ever be. Trust me, it's crazy. I think it's Ayurvedic or something like that. That is really amazing to do a morning routine. And another thing that is really amazing with journaling is doing to-do lists on there. Instead of just being okay, got to do washing, got to do this, got to go shopping. Literally write down hobbies that you want to try. For me, I literally have 77 notes in my phone of hobbies I want to try. And each of them I'll write in my diary and be okay, for the podcast, I was I'll write down, okay, I want to try the podcast. Why do I want to try the podcast? Because it challenges me. I struggle to speak fluently. So I want to challenge myself. I want to put myself out there. I want people to know me on a different level. And you can do that with anything. I did it with hooping. I want to try double hoops. Why? Because it's training my brain to do something new. Like, it's anything that you want to do, like that's like a to-do list thing in detail. It pushes yourself to be like, oh, no, I can do this. Because the initial thought of trying something new can be really scary because you're like, oh, like, you know, I want to try knitting. Let's go in knitting. And you're like, oh, but, you know, I don't have this and I don't have that and I have to watch all these videos and it can get a bit overwhelming. But when you put it on paper, the first step you need to take, oh, I just need knitting needles and yarn. It's like easier to like kind of take baby steps through the process of whatever to-do list thing you want to try. The next thing is goals. Oh boy, I'm a hardcore Capricorn bitch and I love my goals, even if it's like really small stuff like, oh, I want to fucking go to the shops and not spend this much, or I want to do half an hour of drawing today, and you can tick it off and you can do that in your diary. So you write down, okay, I want to do this, this, and this, small goals. And then after that, you write down your big goals. So your big goals could be, I want to be earning 6 figures by the end of 12 months, or I want to buy a new car, or anything like that. And like make these goals attainable and write down how you can attain them or could attain them. Because when you see it again on paper, it just becomes more realistic. You can see it laid out in front of you on how you can achieve it. And it's sick. It's unreal. Doodling in diaries, bruh, you should see my diary or my journal. It is a mess. Like, it's just like colored pencils, shit going through it, writing, scribbles. Like, I cannot spell for the life of me, but it's okay because guess what? You're going to be the only one that sees it. Legit. You're the only one. And another thing is brainstorming. When I was trying to come up with a name for this podcast, I was like brainstorming in my journal, like, okay, I can do this, this, and this, why I shouldn't go with that, why I should go with this. So there's so many things that you can do with journaling. It's like, it can be like fucking life-saving. You could literally have it like, dear diary, I did this today. Or you can be like, this fucking bitch said this to me and I'm not fucking down. Or you can just be like, I've been thinking about this recently and I want to get deep with it. I want to explore it a bit more. You could even write down like random words and random numbers and then look them up on Google and be like, okay, what's the meaning of this word? What's the spiritual meaning of this word? And what's the numerology behind this number that I keep seeing? And write about that and see if it like intertwines into like what you're going through at the moment. Like, I find that so interesting. But yeah, and I think writing down anything that comes to mind and like tracking how your mood is throughout, you know, the year, even like seeing how differently you perceive things and like, and oh, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Affirmations, fucking affirmations. Affirmations, literally something chemically releases in that brain of yours. And it's like, okay, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I can do this. I'm a bad bitch. You can do that in your diary. Literally, you can be like, I know I will work hard today. I accept myself fully. I love everything about myself. Like, you can write down an entire page of affirmations that suit you. And if you reread them, like even just like that week, you reread them every morning that week and then do new ones the next week. Oh my God, it is like a godsend. Trust me. Another massive one that some people would struggle to do because they might be writing something that is pretty like deep, but reread everything after you've written it same night. Because when you reread it, you're like, oh, I want to add this. Oh, true. I didn't think I realized it like that. I didn't know that I perceived it that way. It is like so good. And it could be something as small as like, oh, I don't like this person. And then you reread it and you're like, oh, it's not that I don't like them. It's they just frustrate me sometimes. And it's like, and then it could just evolve to, oh, they frustrate me only because I'm in this mood. And like, it just, when you reread it, you add and you edit. And I think that's like the amazing thing, and also shows what your emotions are saying rather than your logic. And we need to be real. Logic and emotions together, the perfect balance is what's going to get you the answers that you need, and feeling the right feelings and reacting in the best way. But yeah, I always forget to breathe when I'm doing podcasts, but here we are trying to breathe. I also wrote down 12 journaling prompts that I feel like could be fun for you guys to try. And, you know, it can be something very personal, or if you're wanting to share them with me and we can explore it a little bit next time I do a podcast. So, number 1, what are you thankful for? Number 2, who is your favorite person and why? Number 3, what's holding you back? Number 4, what are you lying to yourself about? That's been one I've really enjoyed writing about, because you don't realize it at the time that you're like, oh man, I haven't chosen to see the truth in that. So yeah, that's a big one. Number 5, what are you really good at? Number 6, where were you at your happiest? 7, what do I love about myself? Number 8, how have I grown since my past relationship? Number 9, how do you feel about the world around you right now? Number 10, something that you want to try that is new. Number 11, your favorite thing about yourself. And number 12, give 10 accomplishments that you've successfully completed. And you will see the magic unfold, even in just starting off with the really lighthearted stuff, the things that you like about yourself, something that makes you happy, a really beautiful memory that you have. Those things is something that I think would be a perfect way to integrate your journaling experience. And then once you feel comfortable, you can get deep. And you can find a lot more prompts and journaling ideas online, Google, Pinterest, all of those places. And you'll find it's actually really easy in the end. But yeah, I just really wanted to share this with you guys, and thank you so much for sticking with me today, and peace out.